I loves me a good cup of joe in the morning as a pick-me-up, but nothing hits home, literally, and provides good jolt quite like a squadron of FBI agents and SWAT teams going Incredible Hulk on your front door, ransacking your crib and hauling you off in silver bracelets. Such was the case last week when the aforementioned agents went all trick and no treat on a number of homes in Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, and also in North Carolina. They were the homes of a number of anti-war activists. Radio host Alex Jones joins us now to talk about those happenings and a number of other ones. Mr. Jones, good to see you again. Let's talk about the raids. Let's talk about what happened last week when it came to the SWAT team members and also the FBI. Why they were targeting, and what you're going to tell me is not just anti-war activists, but other groups of people as well.
Absolutely. We now know, and the federal government has admitted, that Homeland Security's main focus is not men in caves in Central Asia. The main focus is anti-war activists, Quakers, conservatives, libertarians, land rights activists, anti-GMO activists. It's basically everybody. And we've seen raids all over the country. This is just the latest on some anti-war people.
You went through a whole litany of different types of people here. Who's left in the country then?
Really, no one's left. I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, Michael Moore's film documented mild anti-war groups that had secret agents infiltrating them. We know groups that have protested Halliburton have been raided before. So they're basically going after everybody. And the Washington Post a few months ago reported on Top Secret USA, close to 1 million private spies, rivaling even East Germany's a famous surveillance state, HUMET, or human spies on the ground, literally spying on everyone. In fact, they admit through COINTELPRO documents in the 70s, and now we know it's back, that even mainline churches who aren't even politically involved have agents spying on them. Anyone who has influence is being spied on.
Let's talk about COINTEL maybe just a little bit later on, but let's talk about, first of all, you were mentioning when you came to the German reference, you were talking about the Stasi, were you not? Secondly, when asked why these raids were being carried out, the government said, well, this is all justified because it was, quote unquote, seeking evidence relating to activities concerning the material support of terrorism. I want to go ahead and focus on material support and terrorism. So material support of terrorism, it seems to me a lot of critics are saying that that's a very, very broad term.
Well, it certainly is. And when you read the USA Patriot Act, Section 802, passed in October of 2001, it states that all misdemeanors or the potential for misdemeanors are covered under the anti-terror law, and it erases much of our cherished Bill of Rights. And previously, they'd have to have evidence to raid someone that they were involved in terrorism or supporting it. Now they're raiding to look for evidence. This is the essence of a 1984 or Kafka-esque type police state. By any analysis, by any yardstick, this is really the end of the government having any type of real evidence. And the same thing happened in Michigan earlier this year. The federal judge later had to order that the so-called militia be released because it turns out it was FBI agents and informants within the group trying to radicalize them and getting them to make, mild statements about how we might have to fight a tyranny someday. And then they hyped it. They were planning all these attacks, but they weren't. So we see this against anybody who's basically politically aware. Now, if you stay at home and just watch the ball game and take your Prozac and, drink your whiskey,
right,
then you're going to be left alone. But if you basically, have a comment on what color the street sign should be, you're basically going to have Homeland Security watching everything you do.
Well, this is, and a lot of people are arguing that this is just a continuation of the Bush-era policies by the Obama Department of Justice. The Bush administration and the Obama administration will both say, well, look, we're just trying to fight terrorism, and this is the reason why we're making what's essentially preemptive strikes. Do you have a reaction to that?
It's just ridiculous. They tell the public that it's for foreign al-CIA to al-Qaeda groups. But then when you look at the MIAC and Homeland Security reports and the stuff out of Pennsylvania, where a foreign Israeli company was spying and creating lists of Tea Party, Second Amendment groups, liberal groups, groups that didn't want a gas pipeline, that are always blowing up to their backyard. And they even gave a list of people to be arrested. And at the G20 in Pittsburgh, when they just said, no protest allowed, that foreign group with Mossad connections, they admit themselves, was out there arresting anti-war activists preemptively. And I sent 3 reporters to Pittsburgh, and Rob Dew was arrested at a park for videotaping the police beating up peaceful students who weren't allowed to be out at night at the park. They weren't even demonstrating. They arrested Rob Dew. He was taken to a military base, and he saw people coming in on trucks with bags over their heads. I mean, so this is the military-industrial complex trying to intimidate political action in this country and saying, if you are against the war, you're aiding terrorism somehow. And they even, at the start of the Gulf War in 2003, they actually tried to come out in the news, and Bush people did announce this, so it is kind of a continuation. And they said, even if you protest war, that aids terrorists. Just the protesting, they're saying, is aiding terrorists. And they tried to float the idea, even the Deputy Attorney General of California, Calhoun at the time, who was a Democrat, he even floated the idea for Mr. Lockyer, who he was under, saying if you protest, we'll arrest you. And so they're really trying to get rid of these bedrock, basic standards of living in a free society.
Hey, Mr. Jones, we don't have too much time, and I kind of need a quick response from you about this, but I want to switch gears a little bit but still continue on the theme about the erosion of civil liberties. I want to talk about this statute that the Obama administration is pushing for that kind of requires peer-to-peer networks and BlackBerry to allow the government access to different types of to subscriber information and what they post. Do you have a reaction to that, if you know what I'm talking about at this point?
Yes, I do. In fact, our report today is linked up on the Drudge Report, getting wide attention. New cybersecurity bill gives Obama power to shut down companies. We've actually read the giant bill, and it's Bush era as well, but Obama's continuing it. And it states you'll be federally licensed to be able to basically be involved in any even low-level IT. It creates a national compulsory service for college students to be part of this new, almost Maoist internet youth brigade. And it makes even the smaller companies preemptively store and keep all the data on their customers. And so it expands what we heard about. The phone companies aren't being tapped. They are the NSA, with whole floors at AT&T and other facilities being run by the NSA. So this is just really coming out in the open. And the former head of the CIA told the LA Times that the government should be able to shut the internet down to, quote, protect it. So the system is scared of the power of free speech and the burgeoning free independent media, and the system is scared, so they're trying to reverse the freedom we've seen on the web. And Obama has shown himself to be a willing puppet of this technological system.
Alex Jones, radio host. Earlier you mentioned whiskey and Prozac and a night in with a baseball game. Actually, that sounded pretty good to me. Thanks for joining us today.